Welcome to the Album Nerds Podcast with your hosts, Don and Dude.
It's a great day.
Oh, God. Hey, you got in first. I like it. Showing some gumption, some initiative. Mm-hmm. So this is the Album Nerds Podcast. I'm Dude. I got Don with me, who took the wheel for a second there. So, Don, how you doing? You ready to continue our travels, our Summers in the City series?
We had to hop on a plane for this one.
Yes, this is all fictional, by the way. So here we are, Album Nerds Podcast. Lovers of albums in the album format, please join us. We've got a great show for you today. As I mentioned, we're continuing our Summers in the City series, and Don and I will each be presenting an album from artists from the beautiful city, from what I see in the pictures, Glasgow, Scotland.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about those. Don, of course, will be asking us a deep question. And then, of course, we will take a little time to talk about some other albums and album-related items we're digging. And then we will spin the wheel of musical discovery at the end to find out what kind of albums we'll be discovering and from where on the next one. But this time, it's all about Glasgow.
Glasgow a go-go! That's what I'm talking about!
From the industrial pulse of the River Clyde to the neon glow of Sauchiehall Hall Street, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Glasgow has long thrived as a city of resilience, grit, and uncompromising creativity. Its streets echo with the sounds of post-punk, indie pop, and alternative rock, shaping artists who channel both raw emotion and sharp wit. For this stop on our Summer in the Cities tour, we're diving into two albums from artists who captured the unmistakable spirit of Glasgow, Scotland.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap!
That might be true. So yeah, I mean, the list was a little shorter than I was expecting, at least from stuff that I recognized, right? So I mean, I've explored Scotland as a whole, but I've never focused on just one city. So that was, it was fun. It's interesting. Don, what were a couple of artists and albums you considered here, but just didn't go with?
I strongly considered Psycho Candy by the Jesus and Mary Chain, released in 1985. It's kind of known as being noise pop.
Okay.
It's interesting. I mean, and they only really did this approach for one album, but it kind of sounds like you're listening to a band that's like playing down the hall. So there's like regular kind of rock pop songs, but it's just, I don't know, kind of muffled and kind of weird sounding, like from a distance. Also thought about the Twilight Sad, Scottish band. I actually saw them open for the Cure. I think I've mentioned them before, but their most recent album, It's Long Goodbye from 2026 is really good. How about you?
So I considered the Vaselines and potentially their, I think 1982-ish album Dum Dum.
I wasn't sure if it was Vaselines or the Vaselines.
Vaselines?
Not sure.
I prefer Vaselines. Vaselines is cool too. Or Vaz lines. Yes. But those things are kind of out of print. Yeah. And now I think they recorded something in the last 10 years or so. But they're on Sub Pop now, and they have made like compilations of their EPs and albums. So it was kind of hard to narrow that down. And the song I wanted to get to really was Jesus Doesn't Want Me for a Sunbeam.
Oh, was that one of the ones?
Nirvana.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they covered it on the Unplugged, I believe. But Kurt Cobain was a big fan of theirs, apparently. Also considered Franz Ferdinand in their 2004 self-titled album.
Deepa Deepa Doo.
Yeah, I believe that was called Deepa Deepa Doo. I think that's actually like Scottish slang. Deepa Deepa Doo. It's a really good album. I listened to it a bunch of times, and I was really close on it, but then fate stepped in.
Hate when it does that.
And I made a quick change on the album we would talk about. Okay, so the picks are in. I just want to do Scotty from Star Trek, which I'm sure people of Scotland may or may not appreciate. I mean, it's a real accent, but still. The bags are piped. It's time for our cha-cha-cha choices.
You choose me?
My pick from the Scottish city of Glasgow comes from Primal Scream. It's their 1991 album called Screamadelica. It's the third album from the band formed in 1982, featuring vocalist Bobby Gillespie, guitarists Andrew Innes, Robert Young, also on guitar, Henry Olsen on bass, Martin Duffy on keys, and Philip Tomanoff on percussion. These guys were a pretty traditional indie rock band, but on this album, they got a little weird, started embracing the dance and acid house stuff that was going on in the UK, and they worked with producer and remixer Andrew Weatherall. Let's check out the first cut. This is Moving On Up.
To the east side.
Yes.
Yeah, they pull the old switcheroo. They open with a song, and I'm like, right on.
Yeah.
And then
I had it, yeah.
things kind of go to hell for me.
Yeah, I thought that would be your reaction.
Well, I've listened to this album before because I've tried to be into Primal Scream, but never quite got there.
So moving on up, along with most of the tracks on the album are written by Gillespie and the two guitarists, Innes and Young. Yeah, this one is a more basic rock and roll gospel sounding track. I mean, it sounds to me like the Rolling Stones and Can't Always get what you want, or something like that. Absolutely. But yeah, it is an interesting introduction to the album. I think spiritually it makes sense. I think kind of lyrically and the sort of the vibes of it make sense with the rest of the album. But I think maybe sonically not quite as much. The lyrics of the song are I guess, moving on from a bad situation. It's kind of spiritual, definitely super, super gospel-y. I like Gillespie's voice on this. I think it's not quite a Mick Jagger impression, but also, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, is it Chris Robinson, the way he sings from the Black Crowes? A little bit.
There's some Southern rock.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Stuff, particularly in other albums by Primal Scream. Mm-hmm. There's even more of that, but Denise Johnson, there on the gospel, works here. Sometimes throughout the album on some other songs, I feel like it's overdone too much. Gospel kind of overtakes the songs, but works here. Well, we'll get into it, obviously, as we discuss, but I found that the more I listened and sort of learned to block some of the more dance hall stuff, the songs are there. Mm-hmm. The songs are all like this. They've got that structure, and the lyrics all kind of tie together in some ways, but it's there. It's just underneath a different outfit, Yeah,
it does have the feel like these songs were recorded and then they just kind of remixed them and messed around with them, which I'm not sure that's exactly how it went, but that's kind of the feeling that I have.
But yeah, it's a threshold moment. I mean, this is their what album? Third, fourth? And I think it was smart to ease people in, especially those that were previously familiar with Primal Scream. Mm-hmm. You expect something, you get it, and then they usher in this new world of sound that they're playing with, which you got to give them credit for taking the risk. Now, didn't it all stem from like one song being remixed by this producer guy? Will we get into that later?
In fact, I think we're going to get into it now. I think this is the track you're talking about, Loaded. So this track actually started life as a song called "I'm Losing More Than I'll Ever Have," but it was kind of redone with the help of producer Andrew Weatherall, and they start messing around with drum loops and guitar fragments and effects and stuff like that. This isn't quite one of those house tracks, which we'll talk about, but it has some elements of it. But it's very funky. I get the sense that, Primal Scream just had a lot of influences. They liked a lot of different things, including funk and like dub reggae and that kind of stuff. And it's like they just decided to throw it all into this album here. The song begins with a sample or a clip from the movie The Wild Angels, which was a Peter Fonda biker film.
How many of those did he do?
I'm not sure. That's there's a few of them.
Not Scottish.
Nope.
Yeah, the drums are reduced to loop-based foundation rather than natural drums like we hear on the first track, which I would say leave them in and add some loops.
Yeah.
When a band like this plays around with electronic sounds, I want them still to be rooted to the earth.
Right.
And not all just be electronic stuff. But, this song is cool. It sounds cool. I guess it's because of the setting of a band like Primal Scream rather than some band that started with this.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. They embraced this sound for this album, and then they completely abandoned it again.
Right, which is shocking.
Yeah.
And this was like their most acclaimed, I think. Yep. They won a bunch of awards and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess that Wild Angels thing you're talking about, that we want to be free to do what we want to do. I mean, that's what's happening here.
All right, well, was there a track you wanted to highlight?
Yes. I wanted to go with Damaged. I wonder why I lean towards this one. They even say stone in it. Appears mid-album, kind of functions as a emotional counterweight with the rest of the sequencing. I needed this.
Yeah,
I needed to come back down to earth.
It's a nice break.
Yeah. So it's placed within the sonic landscape of the album, but it does feel more rooted, as I was talking about in the last one. The lyrics on the whole album are kind of about the same stuff. It's more feel. The words are more for feel, I think. Emotional aftermath and vulnerability after intensity and instability. But is that a relationship? Is that from change in sound? Is that from the music? Is it, structurally though, it's important in balancing the album's euphoric and celebratory sounding material with introspection and, feel.
Yeah. It feels like something that could have appeared on Exile on Main Street or something, that kind of ballad that they did. Yeah.
Where there was this kind of exhaustion from it all. Yeah. From the life, from the music, from the whole thing. So
yeah,
and the escape from what they were.
Yeah, in my initial listens of the album, it feels like a mishmash. Like it didn't feel cohesive initially, but then I think, as you suggested before, the more I listened to it, the more I kind of found maybe some common threads. Yeah. It took me a while because they did sound like watching a tennis match, know, your head going back and forth, like what, that, but eventually it started to make, it did start to make a little sonic sense. So we arrive at the closing cut, Shine Like Stars. Shine like stars. Shine like stars. I think even the title of the album, Screamadelica, sort of, I guess, hints at the fact that there's maybe a psychedelic element to their music, and there certainly are some very psychedelic moments on the album, and I think this is one of those. But again, similar to the last track we just discussed, I do feel like this one is also kind of a come down. I mean, there was this big like rave culture going on, particularly in the UK, and I think these things would go on till 4 or 5 in the morning. I could picture this being maybe something that's, played at the end of the night when the lights are on and people are getting ready to leave. There's something environmental about it. Yeah. Like kind of ambient. I don't know, Rusty Warehouse or something. The vocal elements are more textural than lyrical. But like as far as a closer, I think it works. It's suspension, not conclusion. I think it kind of goes with what we find later. This nothing is over, nothing is done. Like it feels like on to the next adventure, right? Like this is the end of one thing and maybe the beginning of something else, and
the fact that they didn't come back to this sound, I think that makes it work even better as a closer.
Yeah. I think Gillespie's voice is really good on this track. I think he does a good job with doing the quieter things.
I feel like he could have been the vocalist of any number of indie and new wave type bands. Like I think he could sing for The Cure. I know you probably don't agree.
Well, no,
but you know what? Like he's got a voice that I think carries all of that. The withheld emotion is. Yeah, he's really good at that.
I wish he sang for Oasis.
He'd be great at Oasis.
All right, well, let's rewind and reflect on Primal Scream's Screamadelica. I'll begin with my clickbait headline. Guitar rockers take dance vacation. So yeah, like I said before, their first two albums were pretty straightforward, kind of indie rock sounding stuff or alternative rock sounding stuff. And, they clearly were taken in by the dance sounds at the time and, didn't hold back. I guess what's most admirable about this album, I think, is, they didn't care. They didn't mind, taking a complete left turn. And I think for the most part, it's a compelling album. Even the dance tracks, I think, are solid in their own way.
I like how you called it a dance vacation because it really was kind of that. It wasn't a band converting into a different type of sound. It was just, dipping your toe and then moving on. One wild night in the clubs and you're out. Yeah. So my clickbait headline to describe the album: Glasgow grit meets Stone's swagger, then dissolves into a sunrise rave that rewired rock music. This fusion had been done before. It's not like they invented it. But I think because of their indie rock, their sort of like whatever kind of vibe, then mixed with this. Yeah. There wasn't excitement. It's not like he's like, woo, woo. Like he's not. He's just, they're doing them with this, with this scarf or poncho of dance music on top. And I think that gave some ideas, probably some inspiration to rock bands to play with that stuff and feel like they could safely do it without redefining themselves as a band, without it changing who they are, just adding some texture.
Yeah, I was reminded of, when U2, did like the Zooropa and the Pop Mart stuff. I guess it's similar in some ways. Although I feel like that maybe felt a little more forced or something, whereas this was maybe more natural. It's like they just wanted to do it. And
yeah. Well, and they weren't when the biggest band in the world does something, it gets more scrutiny.
Sure.
And is more harshly judged for,
right.
Are you jumping on some kind of bandwagon? Are you trying to stay relevant,
Yeah. Primal Scream was mostly underground, I think, at this point. Killer to Filler. Well, I do want to, just discuss some of the more house tracks. So the second cut on the album is Slip Inside This House, which is a cover by 13th Floor Elevators or something. But after moving on up, going into this, it's a huge turn. All of a sudden you're at the club and it's got all this trippy stuff. It kind of reminded me just a little while ago we did the D-Light album. And I feel like that sort of warmed me up or prepared me for this album.
Yeah, same here. I thought about that as well, where this is like what I kind of would have wanted from the D-Light album, a little more rock band in it. Mm-hmm. I got it here.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that cut. There's also right after that is Don't Fight It, Feel It, which is another one that is really kind of acid house sounding.
Well, his voice works really well for that mantra style vocal that can fit in with the rhythm and the groove. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's one of the clubbier ones, I'd say. I liked I'm Coming Down.
Me too. That might actually be my favorite cut now that I think about it.
Yeah, it shifts away from the euphoric peaks. And again, it's another more reflective one, slow tempo.
Yeah, but not rocky, really. Still kind of electronic. Yeah.
Yes, like the emotional descent. Mm. But yeah, that's a good track. Any filler for you, Don?
Well, so there's a song called Higher Than the Sun, which I think is a really good track. And then sort of at the end, all of a sudden there's Higher Than the Sun, a dub symphony in 2 parts, which is just kind of like a remix that's just kind of dancey noise and stuff, which, I mean, it's fine. I guess it adds some dancey ambience to the album, but certainly not like a highlight of the album, I would say.
For me, I guess Come Together, that's where I was talking about the too much gospel. Mm-hmm. The middle parts are pretty cool. Yeah. It just feels a little bit lost, and the gospel singing stuff kind of takes over a little too much for me. It was a longer song as well, but... Yeah,
and that one... For some reason, I think the wrong version is on the streaming albums.
Right. So that could be mistaken in what it really sounded like.
Yeah. I mean, it was originally a long track. I think the album version was still like 10 minutes or something like that. But yeah, this is actually the version that's on the streamers, I think is like a 12-inch remix, which is a slightly different treatment.
Someone must have made a decision that was the better thing to present, or I think that something to do with...
I'm not sure if, somebody's rights or licensing or...
Right, if a sample was used that they can't license or something,
Yeah, because I can't even find the real version anywhere. Yeah. Okay, production. So they actually used a bunch of different producers on this album. I think Andrew Weatherall is kind of seen as the sort of the guiding force that really, kind of helped them figure out a lot of this, dance-based stuff. But you've also got Jimmy Miller and the Orb, involved in the process.
The Orb. Yeah. His parents must have been kooks. Yeah, I feel like Jimmy Miller brought the analog live band sound, and the Orb and Weatherall brought the beep bop, boop bop stuff.
Yeah. Overall, so even though the music, from track to track is very different, I mean, it still operates sort of on the same wavelength. Like somehow there's some, I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like it doesn't belong together. I've never attended a lot of dance clubs, but, a handful in the early 90s. And this kind of functioned to me like a DJ's set where the sequencing and transition design matters as much as the actual songs. Okay. So less like structured like an album and more like a set that would be played at a club. Yes. Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you're holding the headphones up to one ear. And
it's like you're doing this, you're holding and holding and holding, and then you do one thing with your finger and then pull your arm up and everyone applauds. And it's like, really? Pick up a guitar, dude.
Replay value. What do you think? Is this one you'll revisit?
As it stood before, occasionally.
Okay.
But it just kind of dissolves in the background music for me, and I'm not super engaged with it. So if I'm having some kind of rave, then yes, for sure. How about you?
I think I will. I don't know, lately I've been on sort of more of a dance craze or something. I'm really enjoying some of this 90s, whatever it's called, acid house. I said there's some baggy. Do you see that phrase baggy? Is like some genre of sort of these Brit guys doing kind of dancey albums. No. Okay. But anyway, I'm kind of, this is, becoming more and more, up my alley. Legacy. Yeah. I guess it's tough. I mean, this is a very well-regarded album, I would say.
Yep.
In general. I mean, there were other bands, particularly in England, that were embracing the sound. There are groups like the Happy Mondays, even like the Stone Roses were
Jesus Jones.
Yeah. EMF. And I mean, New Order had been balancing the rock and electronic dance for quite some time. I don't know. There's something about it, I think, that maybe makes it kind of special and unique.
Its legacy, I think, is inspiring bands and musicians to try new things. It doesn't mean that you're changing who you are as a band. It just means that you're learning new stuff.
Well, Screamadelica became the sound of turn-of-the-90s UK crossover culture. Psychedelic, club-shaped, and unafraid to let rock songs spill onto the dance floors. Give it a spin, Mr. DJ.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Time again for Deep Questions by Don. I guess we can make this a little broader, make it more just about Scotland in general. But what other pop culture items out there say Scottish to you?
The Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, good one.
She's real.
Every big lake has like a ripoff of those two.
Yeah, Lake Champlain has one, right? Champy or
yeah.
something. Yeah, ridiculous. There's only one. So I went back to music. I mean, there's a lot of different things, right? You know, I love a good kilt, but I kept thinking about AC/DC, Australian rock band.
Right.
However, Angus and Malcolm Young brothers were born in Glasgow and moved to Australia when they were 8 years old and 10 years old. And then when they hired singer Bon Scott, also Australian, but born in Scotland as well, there's definitely, you know, Scottish undercurrents there. And, you know, they are Scotsmen. And I love AC/DC a lot. I know a lot of people do that first set of albums in particular, but, you know, It's a Long Way to the Top, if you want to rock and roll, has bagpipes in it. You know, Bon Scott is playing, and I heard that probably as a very little kid. So I always tied them in my mind. I thought they were a Scottish band until I learned to know better. So, I just think that Glasgow should be proud of AC/DC being birthed really there.
Those bagpipes fit so perfectly on that record, too. It's amazing. Well done, guys.
What about you, man?
Well, I thought about the film Train Spotting. Do you remember that from 1996? Yep. You know, big drug movie, I guess. But that, it's set in Edinburgh, which I guess is how they pronounce it there. But it was actually, most of it was actually shot in Glasgow. So I don't know, like, why you couldn't just say it was Glasgow. I don't know. There must be a, huge difference between the cities or whatever.
Maybe Glasgow's like, sure, you can use our streets, but don't turn us into, the heroin capital of the world. Do that to Edinburgh.
But if you've never seen that movie, I mean, it's definitely worth watching. Some really disturbing scenes.
Yeah, I'd say not worth watching.
No.
I mean, it's a good fit. I mean, there are good performances and everything, but I just find drug addiction stuff, like, I have a hard time watching it personally. When I saw the movie, me and my friends did, it was mostly, because of the soundtrack, and it was a buzzworthy thing. And afterwards, I'm like, I was really depressed. I'm like, that happens to people?
Yeah.
Like, that really happens to people? I didn't like it. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Understood. Okay, so what are some other cool Scottish things out there? Let us know on the social media, like Instagram and Facebook at Album Nerds.
I went with a band that describes me perfectly, Simple Minds. And they're...
Could have been the name of the podcast.
Yeah. And they're 1982. I saw it listed as 83 somewhere also. May have depended on where it was released. Album New Gold Dream, 81, 82, 83, 84, which is very confusing. Yes. I've seen this album before in record stores and whatever, and thought it was a greatest hits collection or something. Released in September of 1982, new wave, art pop, synth pop, produced by Peter Walsh. Simple Minds formed in Glasgow in the late 70s, emerging from post-punk roots. Early lineup built around Jim Kerr, Charlie Burchill. The early records were more angular and experimental, but by this period, they were really trying to refine a more accessible cinematic pop sound while keeping the art rock sensibilities. New Gold Dream is that album. It's their fifth studio album. That's a lot of records these guys got to record before they broke big in 85, of course, across the world anyway. But it represented a transition from their earlier, darker albums to a brighter, warmer, more melodic sound. The years, in parentheses, were added by the frontman Jim Kerr to represent an ongoing, forward-looking vision and the band's aspirations for the future. Pretty gutsy. You're pretty confident you're going to get there. But the album is widely viewed in retrospectives and fan discourse as the band's creative peak in terms of the balance between experimentation and accessibility. I think evidently the musicians of Glasgow love to experiment and try and grow their sounds. Mm-hmm. So why don't we get started with the opening track, Someone Somewhere in Summertime. So that one opens the album in really full atmospheric mode, immediately establishing the shift, I think, to this more open arms approach to their sound. The word golden is in this song, and gold and golden are used numerous songs throughout. I noticed that word popping up in the lyrics. Recorded during the 82 sessions with producer Peter Walsh, really pushing that clarity and space and layered arrangements. Great guitar work, great vocal delivery, restrained and airy, but somewhat like detached. Like this somewhere, someone somewhere seems like out of reach in the way that it's expressed. What do you think about this as an opener?
I love it. I mean, I'm just such a sucker for this kind of sound anyway.
Right. This is right in your... Were these guys part of your stable?
Not really. I mean, they were there, and I knew some of these songs, but I hadn't really dug in before. And yeah, I'm excited to be digging into them a little more. The guitars, it reminded me a little bit of some of the like Susie and the Banshee guitar sound. The bass work is good. It's melodic, maybe a little more virtuosity than some of the other new wave stuff at the time. And then I don't know if it's Kerr or Kerr. His vocal delivery is fun. Just very, I mean, he enunciates so well and he's so dramatic.
Yes.
And it's not really a criticism, but his vocals are a little more just like part of the overall sound on this album. And I think in future records, it's more like in the forefront.
That technique you're talking about, that sound of the vocals kind of being a part of it, I feel like that's what U2 was doing also, with a more guitar-y focus, of course. Yep. But that's a similarity, I think, there. And there are many similarities. I think these bands were on similar paths. Just one became, Simple Minds, I think, had bigger splash success a couple years before U2 really took off huge. But the reason that I said earlier that fate stepped in and for me to make this pick instead of Franz Ferdinand was I was late with my pick to report to Donna what I was going to do. And I went to the record store and went through the stuff that had just come in. The used albums just came in, and this album was there. So I was like, okay, not only am I buying it, this is my pick. It's right here in front of me. And
a cool album cover, too, I think.
Yes, it's deceptive. Like, you think it's a religious album, a compilation. Like, it is a cool album cover. And, they continued on this path of growth. The next one, Sparkle in the Rain, is really great, too. And Once Upon a Time has, Don't You Forget About Me and stuff. So this definitely was the beginning of something. And I think that's expressed really well, even right here in the opener. So why don't we continue on with the title track, New Gold Dream, 81, 82, 83, 84. They should have thrown an 85 in, too. Like, is that cowbell or is that a different type of but this one has a more curish sound to me. Maybe not to you as the expert, but
I was thinking you too.
That too. I feel like this is kind of a blend of those two sounds.
It is.
But this, of course, the title track representing the core sonic philosophy, repetition, atmosphere, emotional elevation, and kind of a proto dance structure, I think, here. But the lyrics are abstract and impressionistic, but it's, looking forward to the future, this new gold dream, this, an era of your life, of your band, of your music, and of creation. And maybe, I don't know if the cross on the title or on the album cover has something to do with thinking about, obviously, religion, creation, resurrection. I don't know, but definitely a lot of things going on here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Just another great track. I wondered if the references to 81 through 84, I did wonder if there was maybe a political element to it, because I think both in like the UK you have Thatcher and in the United States you have Reagan, and I think these politicians sort of represented maybe a return to greatness in quotation marks.
Well, a return to conservatism of the time.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think for some, it was meant to be sort of a period of hope. And I wondered if they were, sort of playing on that idea. But yeah, I mean, just such a good sounding album. It's just like, it's ear candy for me. I don't know about you, but
I really enjoyed it too. I wouldn't I had been listening to this in conjunction with Franz Ferdinand. They were my two possibilities. So then once I grabbed it, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I've become much more open to that world of music. It's not that I disliked it at the time. It just was not my favorite, especially when you had limited funds. I couldn't get into anything new. I couldn't afford it. All right, Don, what song piqued your interest?
Well, I thought we should talk about maybe what might be the most known single, I think, from the album, Promised You a Miracle.
I love it.
This one sounds a little more kind of new wavy to me. Like I'm picturing it like Dexy's Midnight Runners and Soft Cell and that kind of stuff. Definitely more of an attempt, I think, at a dance record. But I think it's pretty well done. It just has an odd sound. It's not. I don't know if it's the chord progression or what it is, but it just doesn't sound like something the Rolling Stones would do or even the Beatles or something. It just doesn't. It's not a note combination that they would have done.
Yeah, I like that too. It did have I don't want to say unhinged, but kind of, like off the rails.
It's weird.
Yeah, but a good weird.
I read that sort of the miracle aspect of it might have been inspired by the Pope's visit to Glasgow, that year. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Promised you a miracle. I could see that. Pope driving around in that glass case vehicle thing.
But yeah, it's a blend of sort of a danceable pulse with kind of the atmospheric stuff and the lyrical side of the track. Another well done song. Well, let's get to the closer.
This is mine.
Oh shit, that's right. I forgot.
You so connect with this album, this music, that you believe this is your presentation.
Okay.
Wow, that's deep, man. All right, as I would have been saying, let's jump to the closing track. This one's called "King is White and in the Crowd." Another shift in compositional density. Less smooth. Synth lines, rhythm section, the bass, pulsating bass, love it. Vocal delivery reflects the shift as well. Mm-hmm. And it is not a clean pop resolution. Instead, it's sort of building and releasing these sort of waves of this evolving arrangement. And I think it's not really a closer. It's more of a continuation, right? I feel like it's, again, sort of like the Primal Scream album. I think it's setting the stage for there's more change to come,
Yes, in 83 and 84.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting boring. I don't have things to say. I love it. I like I like everything about it.
There you go. I know they were trying to lean into a more pop direction, but they were doing it from a artistic, creative palette rather than a copycat, purposeful hit-making machine thing.
Yes.
Like they were incorporating more upbeat sounds, but the feel is still very grounded to, I think, their artistic identity.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to close out the statement. So why don't we do the same and rewind and reflect on New Gold Dream?
Come on.
All the years.
All the years.
All right. I'll start off with my clickbait headline to describe the album. Simple Minds shift from raw post-punk roots into cinematic synth-driven new wave on their breakthrough album, setting the foundation for the stadium-sized sound they'd embrace in the years that followed. Mm-hmm. We kind of said this, widely regarded as their artistic breakthrough. It feels cohesive, built around this golden haze aesthetic. It's mood and texture and energy more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it creates this sort of world of bright and reflective distance, and the shine of gold, the allure of gold is a perfect way to frame that.
Yeah. I'll give you my clickbait headline. It's not exactly a miracle, but these Scots helped set the tone for 81, 82, 83, and 84. So, these guys, I don't know, it's hard to say who's responsible for what, but this, I think this is an important record for this time period, kind of shaping that post-punk and new wave sound, and incorporating dance, incorporating, the shimmering synths and capturing the dreamlike lyrics. If I had to pick a record that sort of represents 1982 for me, I think this is a good one.
Well, and I think it sounds like the future of this type of music too. I read somewhere, and I don't know if you saw this, that U2 was inspired by this album for Unforgettable Fire.
Yeah, I did see that. Yep.
I don't know if it's true, but perhaps it was one of those situations where bands were pushing each other, but just hearing something inspiring and saying, "Hey, we should do some of that," or whatever.
I believe it.
So on the killer to filler side, good songs, not so good songs. What were you thinking here?
I like them all. But
yeah, me too.
Well, there's an interesting instrumental in there that I liked a lot called Somebody Up There Likes You. And it actually, the same year, Roxy Music released Avalon. And that song reminded me a lot of that album. Kind of has sort of a summery sound. And I don't know, just the way the synths come in. I don't know.
It is nice. If I were pressed for a song that if they had to cut one.
Oh, you'd cut the instrumental, huh?
Probably. If I had to.
Yes.
But I do enjoy it. I mean, it does sound ethereal and cool and good.
Yes.
I like Colors Fly a lot. Bass. Yes. It's like the bassiest synth pop song I think I've ever heard.
I think the bass player is Derek Forbes.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, I like him.
He's good throughout a lot of these songs. Including on Promise You a Miracle, that's and lots of like cool little things that you wouldn't expect. I love that. Glittering Prize.
If I had to pick one that I didn't love, that might be the one. That's another kind of attempt at, I think, like a dancier pop number.
Yes, it's more pop leaning. But yeah, I enjoyed that one. I think just the title, again, that whole golden, I kept focusing on that while listening. Mm-hmm. I was looking for all these little things that tied all the songs together. And I was not disappointed.
Another favorite of mine is Hunter and the Hunted, which is the second to last track. Yeah, I really like the synthesizer sound on that.
Yeah, we could go through all of them. Big Sleep I liked also.
I like that one.
Kind of atmospheric builder, synthy, but kind of impressionistic and clean at the same time.
A lot of impressionistic kind of stuff.
Yes, it feels like a watercolor painting to me. All right. What about the production? I'm going to look to you more for this because this is your sonic world. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's well done. I think that overall, that new wave texture, is done really well. As I mentioned before, I might have put the vocals a little more in the forefront. I think Kerr's vocal, he's such an interesting vocalist. I think he's just a little too much in the mix, or they're just maybe wasting, that his affect or whatever.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
that sort of works for me. I kind of like that undercurrent vocal. It just makes it all sound more unified to me. But I haven't. I suppose if I heard a mix with it more in the front, who knows?
I wonder. But a couple years later, it's "Stay until your love is love."
Yeah, right.
But yeah, overall, I think it's just a great sounding album.
Yeah, the word I'll say, and I think I said it, it's a unified sound, and I love when an album can deliver that. Replayability for you, friend.
Donnie Likey. Yes.
Yeah, me too. It does sound like a band under construction, but this sets the foundation, and I really like that. And I bought the thing, so I will be listening to it a lot. Legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know where it belongs in the tier of sort of post-punk new wavy
Higher
stuff.
than I thought.
Yes, definitely. And I lump them maybe more in with the U2s and the Tears for Fears, I think,
yes,
than the Depeche Modes and the Cures.
I would agree. Yeah, that sounds about right to me as well. But their Glasgow origin, their evolution from art punk, there's something so often with this music because so much of it comes from Europe, but there's something so European about the view of the world. It feels like, and maybe this is just an American romanticizing what Europe is like, but it just seems so much classier and more artistic and beautiful paintings and,
Yes.
So, and this has that feeling to it.
It does, yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, it like all good new wave, I think it bridges the kind of underground post-punk ideas with maybe more accessible pop songwriting.
New Gold Dream and all the years after it is a shimmering Glasgow new wave breakthrough, turning post-punk restraint into glowing synth atmosphere and controlled euphoria, where ambition and precision and optimism lock into a sound that shapes the band's future and the future of music.
And this podcast.
Check it out.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
All right, on your way back from the land of kilts and bagpipes, did you have a chance to dig anything else?
So yes, this is not Scottish, it's Canadian-ish, from a band from Ontario, Crown Lands. They're a progressive rock duo. Drummer, vocalist Cody Bowles, and guitarist, multi-instrumentalist Kevin Como. Originally emerging with sort of a hard rock, Rush, Led Zeppelin sound, which I do think they still kind of blend. They gradually evolved into this more prog-driven project. Their recent work has expanded into like sci-fi narratives, long-form progressive compositions. And that is certainly the case here on the 2026 album Apocalypse. It's their fourth studio album. It's a full embrace of progressive rock featuring dense arrangements, extended compositions. They have a 19-minute title track that lays out the story. Why don't we listen to a little bit of Through the Looking Glass? I think we get a little bit more into some of the Zeppelin-y sounds in that one. But I've listened to it a couple times. It's a cool record. I'll be trying to dig in a little more. Maybe dig into some of their other albums as well. But
is it like an Operation Mindcrime kind of theme?
I think this is more like a spacey interplanetary thing, but I haven't quite grasped the story yet. So that might take a few tries. And then, of course, I like to bring something from my album collection. This time it's vinyl. And we did, at Don's behest, I did try to find something Scottish from the collection. And I did. Hair of the Dog by the band Nazareth. They're from Dunfermline, not Glasgow, but you probably know them best from
Love Hurts.
That's the one. But, they're a hard rock proto-metal band, distinctive voice of Dan McCafferty. And, this song that I'm going to play is the title track. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know this is the same band that does Love Hurts. This one is Hair of the Dog. I remember hearing that one as a little kid and thinking, oh, bitch, what? So
I think I might have thought it was AC/DC or something.
Yeah, it does. It does have that sound. Cool song, cool album. Yeah, Scotland at its best. What you got, Donnie?
Well, Ed O'Brien, no,
well,
sorry, Ed O'Brien of Radiohead fame, not the most famous guy in Radiohead, but
I don't know any guys from Radiohead except for Tom York.
Ed O'Brien has done a couple of solo albums. His last one was actually under the name EOB or EOB, I don't know, but now he's just going by Ed O'Brien. New album called Blue Morpho. Kind of what you would expect, psychedelic tinged, kind of alternative rock with some symphonic stuff. Here's the title track, Blue Morpho.
This is really a side project of Tom York pretending to be Ed O'Brien.
It's an experience, though. I definitely recommend it. It's very emotional and dreamy at times. Check it out.
Yes, sir.
Also, remember Bruce Hornsby? He's back, or still going strong. He's got an album called Indigo Park. It's supposed to be kind of a concept album. It deals with memory and time and creativity. It's got people like Bob Weir on it. Bonnie Raitt's also on here. But anyway, here's the title track, Indigo Park.
That gets me so Hornsby.
Well done. I just like his kind of blend of rock and jazz and bluegrass and some classical too. So just it's a nice album. Only listened a couple times, but I'm digging.
Cool.
And what are you digging? Let us know. Join us on the socials: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Album Nerds.
It will be a discovery of extraordinary value.
Well, here we are. It's time on the show when I'm reminded of the words of Scottish comedian Billy Connolly. And he said, "I love Glasgow. I love the people. If you're down, they lift you up. They have a great sense of humor." With that in mind, let's bring out the wheel of musical discovery to find out what city we'll be visiting next time, musically.
Next time, our Summer in the Cities series makes a stop in Austin, Texas. From outlaw country roots to modern blues and rock, we're diving into albums that reflect the creativity, character, and musical spirit of the live music capital of the world.
Austin.
Where all your exes live, Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, Austin's cool. They're kind of a hub of musical creation. We'll see who actually came from there. A lot of music comes through Austin. I wonder what comes from Austin.
Yeah, we'll see if we can reach the city limits. Austin city limits.
That was on PBS. I don't know if it still is.
I think so. All right, well, what's your favorite album from Austin, Texas? What else are you listening to? Email us at podcast@albumnerds.com or follow us on Instagram and other social media at Album Nerds. And you can visit albumnerds.com to listen to all 339 episodes. And the best way to support this show is to share it. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.
Thank you, as always, for joining us here on the podcast. Looking forward to catching you next time, right here in the US of A, Austin style.
And I would rock 500 episodes, and I would rock 500 more.
Yeah, the Proclaimers, we're back to them. Huh?
Yep, they're from Scotland.
Yes, they are. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
That's good.
When I go out, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's going next to you. See you next time.